All right. Hello, YouTube. It's Lion here with Hobbies of a Man once again, and today we are talking about the Wheel of Time again. So today is going to be our discussion of The Great Hunt. It will have spoilers, so if you want a spoiler-free video from me about The Great Hunt, go check out the review, which is up there in the card. And I'll make sure to leave a link to that and then to the playlist where I have all of my Wheel of Time videos, which at this point is 5 of them, including this one. So, yeah. Before we begin, though, I do want to shout out Galactic Reads. She is a smaller Booktube channel. I think she started recently, and she interacted with me on one of my previous videos at one point, and I really appreciated it, and I like the insight that she brings, and I really like her videos, so I did want to give back to her and shout her out here, so that anyone watching this also goes and subscribes to her and lets her know, you know, hey, we appreciate your work. Because that's always cool as a YouTuber, especially when you're like really small. It feels nice to know, hey, people appreciate what I'm doing. So please go check her out. Her link, the link to her channel is in my description. It's in the shout out section, which I have in every one of my descriptions, but I don't think anyone really reads them. But yeah, it's down there if you guys want. So we're going to look at the prologue, and then we're going to look at the first half of the book, which the wiki calls The Hunt Begins, and then we're going to look at the second section, which is called To Toman's Head, according to the wiki again, which is the way I divide these videos. So, let's just jump into it. The prologue, I'm so on this one. It's interesting to see that, you know, the Dark Friends are joining forces and that they're slowly but surely, you know, taking over certain aspects of life in Randland or whatever this place is called. But it wasn't that interesting. It was like kind of boring. The perspective character that we had was like really slimy and cowardly, and he wasn't very meaningful. And the Aes Sedai section was interesting. It was like foreshadowing what we're going to talk about about the Black Aja later in the book, which works well. That's fine. But just everything else was kind of lame, I guess. It wasn't that special. And I guess it's because the Eye of the World prologue was immensely meaningful and powerful compared to, you know, this one. So it like feels weaker by comparison, even if it is, you know, still a good prologue. But I'm not sure. Now, the thing with Basilmon is it really Basilmon? Is there someone else? Is it really him? Because isn't he like super mega, like hella trapped in the Shayal Ghul or whatever, like the prison thing that they have for him? Wouldn't it be like impossible for him to like be there? So I don't know. Plus, didn't Rand kill him last time? I mean, obviously he didn't kill him if he's here, right? But how many more times is Rand going to have to kill Basilmon before Basilmon is actually dead? But yeah, that's basically it for the prologue. Nothing really special. I like how it pulled us back into the world of the Wheel of Time, but I wasn't really loving it. It was like a good prologue, but nothing special, nothing that really blew my socks off. Now, let's actually talk about the proper book now. The Hunt Begins is like the section, the first half to 2/3 of the book, and it starts in Faldara, in Shynara, I think. And the Amerlin seat is somehow coming to visit and before that, Rand, Matt, and Perrin are like interacting. Matt is going a little bit bonkers because of the stupid dagger, which, man, he gets in trouble really, really fast, really easily, and it's kind of like, come on, man, you're better than that. Like, do something meaningful. Perrin is kind of sulking in the corner, but, you know, he's still like the cool guy, so it's fine. And then Rand is like actually doing stuff. He's like training and like learning how to use the sword, and he's wishy-washy in the sense that like, should I leave, should I not leave? I want to stay for my friends, but I also want to run away because I can channel, and like, why is Moraine not treating me well and stuff? It's like, bro, isn't it better that she's not paying attention to you? You should like run away even like quickly. Why are you still there after like 5 months or 5 weeks or whatever the time was? So yeah, Interesting thing of note here before we actually get into the important stuff that happens is that everyone thinks Rand is a lord. And it's kind of funny because he's like, no, I'm just a shepherd. And they're like, yeah, sure, Lord Shepherd or whatever. No one actually says that, but like, it would have been funny if they did. I hope they do something like that in the TV show. The Lord of Sheep. Uh, And yeah, so it's kind of interesting because Rand doesn't really like it, but he acts like a lord anyways. He has that sort of like hint of nobility to him, the way he carries himself with a sword, like he's always had one. The nature of him is very like lordly, and it's kind of interesting how he kind of goes against it. And I guess it's not really him. It's like whatever the Dragon Reborn is, right? Because from what I understand it's a cyclical thing, so everyone's like reincarnated a bunch of times, I think. So I guess it wouldn't be him, it'd be whatever the previous dragon is, Luce therein, I guess. And yeah, so okay, the boys fight because Rand is like, you know, mopey about how the fact that he's like a channeler now and that he's gonna put everyone in danger, and his whole like, if I go crazy I'm gonna kill someone, which is fair, I guess, but he'd have to get really crazy in order to do that, and he's obviously not, because he's gonna try his best to not do that because he doesn't want to. But he fights with Matt and Perrin, and I don't really like that. It feels too contrived that he makes them a little bit angry and then they just like fly off the handle and become super passive aggressive petty with him. Because these guys have been friends for 20 years, right? Like 20 years of their life they've been interacting with each other. Maybe not daily, but quite often. And so it's like, dude, you obviously know that something is wrong with Rand. 2, he's hiding something. And 3, that he doesn't actually believe what he just said. Like, no matter how cool it is, no one that you've known for 20 years is suddenly going to be like, you know what? I was a shepherd for 20 years, but now I'm a lord, and I like that. And it's like, oh, really fancy, and I hate you guys because you guys aren't lords as well. It's like, that doesn't make sense. So I excuse Matt because he's going crazy with the dagger, but Perrin is just sulking. Like, all he has to do is really just think a little bit, which is like his thing. His thing is slow, methodical thinking. How did he not notice that Rand is not actually okay? That what Rand was saying is not actually true. It's just a way for him to protect his friends. It feels a little too like contrived that they just like go along with it, but whatever, I guess. Now, the Maryland seat arrives and she calls Rand in. She's like, you know what? I want to talk to that guy because Moraine said something, he was interesting or something. Can't remember exactly what it was, but anyways, Rand does not want to go. He's trying to escape, but he can't because, you know, supposedly Ingtar or whoever the actual guy is, the other Shiennaran, Agenor, said that everyone should close the doors, but that's not actually what happened. Apparently it was the Myrddraal that were going to get Pan and Fane. But while that's happening, Rand's trying to escape, and then Lan is like, no man, you gotta go talk to the Maryland seat, and you gotta do this, this, and this, and make sure to walk with the, and he calls out in a name of a technique. And so Rand is like, oh yeah, I'm a lord, I'm the cat walking across the courtyard, or whatever the stupid strutting thing is called. And it works really well, and I like the interaction that the Maryland seat, Swan and Rand have. It's very clear that it's two powerful people, two individuals that know who they are, facing off, and neither one of them is going to back down from their situation. And it's really fun in terms of like really interesting, cool interactions. I really liked it. But that's basically it. Nothing else happens here. Sorry about that. That was all that interesting. So after that, Pat and Fane, Rand ends up in the women's quarters for some reason, and they all want to like look at it, and all the women are like, interesting guy. He'd be kind of interesting to have as a husband or something, which is funny as well. And Pat and Fane escapes. He steals the dagger and the horn. Well, he steals the horn and the dagger. And apparently Pat and Fane and Mordred, Mordeth from Shadar Logoth, combined or something somehow, and he loves that dagger. He steals the horn because he wants to fight Rand, and Rand is gonna go for the horn for some reason. Well, he does eventually, but like, I don't know why Pat and Fane thought that Rand would take the horn or would go for the horn, but it doesn't matter. So Maryland Seat tasks Ingtar with taking the horn, and he with going to go find the horn, and he takes Matt and Perrin because Matt needs the dagger, and Perrin goes with Matt because Matt's his friend. And Rand tags along too after the Maryland Seat tells him, hey, we're going to be hands off. You can do whatever you want, but we would prefer it if you did this. And then he does it because he's not going to get controlled apparently. And so he does it anyways. And he does it because he wants to, not because they told him, which is the same thing. It ends up being the same thing, but it doesn't really matter. So they go, Matt and Perrin and Loyal for a little bit are ignoring Rand because he made all of them mad. And then Loyal forgives him, and he's like, hey, it's okay, man. You're a human. You guys go really excited for really stupid things, so it's all good. No worries. And then Ingtar tells Rand that Rand is the second in command because the Maryland Seat said so, and because Shienarans always have to know who is in charge, because it's meaningful. And then, you know, he does a whole spiel about duty and honor and, like, the importance of having duty and having honor on a man. And it's very interesting. It's very good. I quite like that. And it builds up Rand's character a lot. I really enjoy it. I think it's really interesting. It comes back in the end, so it's really nice how it all connects. So, while the boys are going off on the hunt, Nynaeve and Egwene are off to Tar Valon. They're off to magic school, which here is a lot, you know, worse than it would be anywhere else. Like, Harry Potter would not last a single day in Tar Valon. That's for sure. Well, actually, maybe. Given how crazy Hogwarts is, he might survive at least a couple days in Tar Valon. But yeah, I really enjoy this section of the book. Nynaeve and Egwene going to Tar Valon and having different Aes Sedai teaching them every day about, you know, channeling. It's cool because Egwene, a young, relatively easygoing girl, is having the ability to learn really easily from these women, right? But Nynaeve, a slightly older and a lot more self-defined kind of person, is having a lot tougher time. And it's also because she doesn't want to learn from them. She wants to do it on her own. And her whole like situation where she has to be angry for her magic to work is really interesting. And it's kind of like a bit weird, but I don't know. I like Nynaeve. I think she's my favorite female character. Besides, well, Moraine probably is my favorite, but we don't really have Moraine doing too much this book. So Nynaeve is probably my favorite character. I really like her growth here because the fact that she can't channel, the fact that she acts so uppity, and all of the Aes Sedai are against it. They're like, you know, you're awfully, you know, angry over for someone that can't even do something so simple as, you know, meditate with the rosebud thing, which is the equivalent of the flame and void, I guess. And it's funny, it's enjoyable. I like the whole, like, beating down someone that's, like, too big for their pants, I guess. Too big for their breeches, I think is the expression. So I enjoyed it. And I also really thought that the accepted test thing that Nynaeve has to do was brutal. It was, like, really, really well done. It was really humbling for Nynaeve's character. I really enjoyed the whole situation that occurred. The way that she has to deal with her reality is really interesting. The way she has to face her fears, everything about it was really good. I really enjoyed myself with that section of the book. I thought it was really well done. It also brings a huge appreciation for Nynaeve. She has so much strength, and it's I already knew that, right? Because she's the person that's in charge of saving everyone in her village since like she was 20. That's a huge amount of responsibility, and it leads to Nynaeve's attitude, the way she acts It's not just because she's a stubborn, angry girl. It's because she's a woman that has immense responsibility put on her shoulders, and the only way that she can take charge of that responsibility and make sure that all the older people listen to her is by being so anal retentive, I guess, so angry all the time. And it works. I really enjoy her character. I like it more now than I did before, and it's because she had that horrible beatdown. Like, emotionally, I think it really worked for her. I quite appreciate her a lot more. Egwene is still very like, dude, there's nothing special about you yet. Until the end of this book. Near the end of this book, I was like, okay, and then Egwene had a moment where it's like, okay, well, now she means something, right? But most of this book, it was spent like moping about, oh, Rand's gone, and like, I hate school because they make me do these things, and like, it was all good. Egwene gets better near the end, and I think she gets even better further on, and I'm really excited to see what happens with her. And Nynaeve, I really want to see her grow and actually become a good channeler. It's going to be fun. Now, at Tar Valon, they meet Elaine and Min. Great to see both of them back. I really like Elaine's character. I think she's like the epitome of like a Starbucks white girl, kind of. That's such a weird way to describe her, but like those kind of happy-go-lucky, really easygoing, really like, I don't know, easygoing, I guess, is the right way to describe it. I really enjoy her character. It adds a certain amount of levity, and it's different from the really uptight, like, princess trope, or the one where it's like, oh, I'm so, like, used to being rigid that anything that's slightly interesting is, like, super cool. Which I guess she kind of does that a little bit, but it's a little different. I like it. I like how it works. And I like the whole interaction she has with Egwene, where it's like, well, you don't want Rand? I'll take Rand. It's fine. I like Rand. He's kind of hot. And it's like, it's just funny. Like, overall, just really enjoyable. Min, interesting. She gets a little bit more development at the end, but over the course of this book as well, I don't know, man. It just feels kind of like she's the foreshadowing tool once again, and I don't know. I think she has more to offer than just that. So I'm excited to see what Robert Jordan does with her in the next couple books. That's it for that, I guess. After this, Rand, Loyal, and Hurin get separated from the crew, the Shienaran team, because they sleep on top of a rock that makes them teleport into another world because Rand can't control Saidin. That was interesting. I liked it when they meet Selene. I think Selene is a very compelling, interesting character. I think her style is really interesting. I think she's rather powerful from what I understand, because Varen and Moraine were talking about Lanfear, and then Selene shows up, so Lanfear and Selene are the same person, I'm pretty sure. And it's interesting that she's like the most powerful bad guy, I think that's what they were saying. And it's kind of interesting that, you know, she's powerful and a witch, but she's super beautiful, and it kind of brings in that whole like mythological / religious like background kind of thing. Like, is she Lilith? Is she a succubus? What kind? Like, she's not either of those, right? But it kind of invokes those kind of same things, and I was really interested in that. I think that's really cool when you take something and you twist it slightly so it's different, but like still recognizable. And Robert Jordan does that a lot, so I really enjoy all of this stuff. But yeah, I really like Lanfear. I think her manipulation style, like the way she wants to control Rand and the other guys, is a lot more interesting. It's not as over the head as, you know, like Egwene tries to do with Rand. It's kind of interesting. Well, okay, you know, it works well, and I quite like how she does it, and it's enjoyable. I think her character is very compelling. It's very interesting, even though she doesn't actually offer us that much. But the end scene at the end of the book is really cool, and I hope that that ends up being the season finale. I think that'd be really good. But yeah, so Rand gets marked with the heron mark on his hand. Now, I'm curious as to where it is on the sword. Here, I'll use this one to demonstrate. So, sorry. Okay, so this is not what the handle would look like, right? But we can assume that Rand holds it like this. And maybe like this if it's a hand and a half sword, right? So why would you have the heron mark somewhere on the handle here? I think that'd be really annoying, especially if you have it on both sides. Like, I don't know why you would have a decorative mark on a handle. So I spent like 10 to 15 minutes just like thinking about where on the sword it would be. Like, so I have a couple ideas. On the pommel, which might work, like Rand could hold the pommel like this with his palm on it, right? And then that way he can get marked. I thought about here in the middle of the sword, but depending on how he's holding it, it might not mark him. It might be like half on this hand and half on this part of his hand. So I don't think it's in the middle. And I thought up here in the guard section. And why would he hold his sword like this? So I guess the best part, the best section of the sword where the heron mark would be at the end, at the pommel. But I'm not sure. If anyone does know, please let me know, because I don't understand how he got it burned onto him just from like thinking about where you would put such a decorative mark on a sword. So if anyone knows, please let me know. And yeah, and then they get back. That's it. And then, you know, stuff happens. They get the horn. And while this is happening, we kind of flash back to Ingtar and the crew as they figure out that Heron is gone with Rand and Loyal. And they're like, well, they'll find us. Who knows what happened? And then Perrin talks to the wolves. He's like, hey guys, I need your help. Can you guys help me even though I don't want to do this? I would really appreciate it. And then they're like, yeah, sure. And then they help him guide the team over to where the Trollocs and stuff are. Eventually, everyone makes it to Carrion. I don't know how to say these things. Where they play the game, the Great Game, or the Game of Houses, or something like that, which is essentially the same thing as Game of Thrones. And it's really interesting. Tom is alive. We find out that Tom is alive, which I called it last time, partially because I knew it was going to happen already, but because in fantasy, no one is dead until you see their perspective of them dying. Or you see someone else see them dying on the page. And even then, it's still possible that they're not dead. So it's interesting. There's a lot of stuff that happens in Korean, but it's all rather like small sections of tension that like combine into the larger story. I'm not really going to go over all of them. The only one that really was super important is that ball thing at the end, where Rand goes as a lord. He talks to a bunch of people, and then the guy that hosted it is like, hey, I'm a dark friend, and Pat and Fane left me a message. Here you go. It's to go to Toman's head. And then they go to Toman's head. So the stuff gets lost again because Pat and Fane steals it from Rand's room, I think. And then there's an attack on Rand by the Trollocs and stuff, and then they have to go to Toman's head. So this is the section of the book called To Toman's Head, or according to the wiki. And the crew's together again. They know that the horn is in Toman's head because that's what they told Rand. Ingtar doesn't believe it, but Ingtar is like, well, after Varen makes a good point that if you don't know where it is, starting to search all the way in Toman's head is not really that much of a difference than running around in the woods for like years, right? So Ingtar's like, okay, fine, we'll go. And then they're like, hey, let's use the gates or the portal stones or whatever. And then they actually end up losing a bunch of time. So they lose like 6 months of time because when they're in Kareen, it's like early spring, and then when they get out of the stones, it's like fall again. So, yeah. While they're traveling through the stones, the Shanchan, which are the sea folk, also descendants of Otter Hawkwing, They're coming back and they're wilding out. They're like, you know what? It's time to invade the mainland. Let's do it. Let's have fun. And like, the dragon's probably going to be reborn soon if he hasn't been already. So let's take over people, because that's always fun, I guess. And yeah. Oh, and while this is happening as well, the Children of the Light, the stupidest assholes in the whole of fantasy, oh god, I hate them so much, are like, you know what, the Shan-Chan, they're dark friends, because everyone's a freaking dark friend if you're a child of the light. So we gotta attack them, but we gotta do it secretly. So, you know, they spend like half of the book just like getting 10 dudes to wherever they can attack the Shan-Chan. But I hate those guys so much. They're so annoying. Nothing about them is meaningful or interesting yet. It's all just like, we need bad guys that are not bad guys. Let's just get them to be so good that they're in fact bad. And it's like, I don't know. I don't like them at all. So yeah, the girls head to Toman's head as well, because Elida is like, hey, Nynaeve, Egwene, your friend Rand, yeah, he's gonna die. And the Black Aja is after him and stuff. And you guys have to go with me to Toman's head because secret thing, right? And Elaine and Min are like, you know what? We want to tag along too because we want to see Rand again. And then they all go. And it turns out it's a trap. Although, now the trap was well planned except for one thing. And the thing is that, okay, like the good part is, okay, let's get all of the people that are strong at channeling, that are young and new, into a place where they can get, you know, trapped and caught and like have their powers used for the bad guys instead of the good guys, which is really good in terms of the Black Aja. To weaken people at Tarvalin, it's a really good idea. However, you put the person that everyone knows is supposed to be the strongest channeler alive, that can only channel when she's angry, in a position where she would get angry. That was like stupid as hell. Like, if they could have thought about it a little bit more, it would have worked out so much better. Because Nynaeve literally called down thunderbolts. She just said, you know what, screw Pikachu, I can call a thunderbolt myself. And dude, that was such a stupid idea. Like, they could have used a little bit more thought there, because I don't know, but they caught Egwene, they caught Min, Elaine, and Nynaeve managed to escape. Fair. Now, the boys and Varen and stuff, everyone makes it to Toman's head now. And Egwene's getting tortured, essentially, and like psychologically messed up, while Min is just chilling, while Elaine and Nynaeve are figuring out a plan. And lo and behold, Bail Daman is like the guy that helps the plan succeed. He's like, damn it, I need to leave this place. And Nynaeve's like, you know what? I can help you. And then he's like, sure, but I need a witch or an Aes Sedai. And then I'll take you with me. And Nynaeve's like, you know what? I can get you more than one. I can get you 3 of them. And then, you know, good stuff. And then Rand is like, oh, you know what? I just saw Egwene while I'm trying to battle with this guy. We need to save her. And then this whole last section of the book is so fun. Lots of stuff happened. I really enjoyed myself with this whole thing. I think Rand's fight with Turok was really good. I think that it was really interesting to show that Rand is very powerful with the sword. He's very good at sword fighting. But he has to have the void with him. He has to make sure that he's concentrated completely on fighting. And it's really interesting how Turok is like playing with him until Rand is like, okay, you know what? I need to use the void now. And then he does. And he like mops the floor with the other guy. And it's kind of interesting because the void represents Saidin, right? Like the flame in the void is the same technique as the rosebud in the void, which is like what the girls use to practice magic. So that means that the flame in the void is the male version of that. So it's how you train Saidin, right? I think that's what the implication is. And so Rand starts depending on Saidin without meaning to, as a way to overcome his difficulties. And it's really meaningful in the sense that, like, he's becoming who he has to be regardless of his feelings. It's rather important, I guess, as a plot point. It's kind of interesting how that kind of works. Now, apparently, Ingtar was a dark friend, which really sucks. But it's also rather meaningful because Ingtar, is like, okay, sorry, Rand, I had to do this, but I don't want to be that, so I'm going to die right here trying to save all of you guys. Please, forgive me, and Rand does, and it kind of teaches him a lesson in mercy and, powerlessness against evil and, a lot of stuff, sacrifice and stuff, which was really good. I really like Ingtar's part in Rand's development as a lord, I guess, from a shepherd to the savior of the world, the guy that's going to lead people into the fight against the dark. It's really good. Egwene gets rescued by Nynaeve and Elaine. Matt sounds the horn because stuff is getting to look rough. Although, here is a point that I don't understand. I thought that the person that blows the horn is the one that leads the warriors. But they didn't listen to Matt. They didn't even look at him. They just looked at Rand immediately. They were like, oh, hey, Dragon, how's it going, man? And Rand's like, hey, yeah, I need to help Egwene. And they all laugh at him like, yeah, of course. The dragon calls us and it's to save a girl. High quality stuff. I thought it was good. But I don't know. I didn't understand what... I thought that the person that blew the horn was either the Dragon Reborn or the person that, the horn's heroes were going to follow. But apparently not. So I'm not really sure. I think I misunderstood that. If someone can let me know in the comments, that'd be really appreciated. I would like to know where I messed up. Now, Rand fights Shaitan or Bazalmon again, and for the second time, right? Because he battled him last time in the Eye of the World. So this one was way cooler. It's like sword versus staff or spear, I guess. I'm not really sure. And Rand has a moment where he's like, you know what? I'm not going to win unless I get hurt. So it's time to sheath the sword. He lets this dude stab him with his fire stick. And then Rand kills him. Well, kills him, right? And this thing was projected into the sky. And it's going to look super cool in the TV show. And it's going to be super awesome. I thought this section was just super, super cool. That's such a, epic type of moment. It was amazing. I thought it was really awesome. And yeah, the projection was epic. And then that's such a good way to end a season. You end the season with the battle of the dragon versus, Fire Devil guy across the sky. Fades to black. And then the last thing that you see is Min over Rand, trying to heal him. And then Lanfear shows up and she's like, you'll be mine, dragon. And then, fade to black again and the credits start rolling. And that's it for the season. I think that'll be a really good part to end the first season at. But I don't know. I think it's supposed to be the first 3 books. Or the first 2, including parts of New Spring. So it might not actually end at that section. I'm not really sure. But if they don't end here, I think that'd be a really bad waste of a really good scene to, end the season on. But I don't know. I don't know shit about making television, so it's all good. But yeah, that's it for me. Thank you guys very much for watching. I really appreciate it, and thank you guys a lot. I really appreciate all the support you guys are showing me, and I really enjoy being part of the Wheel of Time community. So thank you guys very much, and yeah, thank you guys for watching. See you guys later.